A ruling highly critical of DA Fani WIllis also provides her a key victory. She will be allowed to stay on the Trump election interference case. Good evening and thank you for joining us on Fox Local. I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Judge Scott McAfee denied defense efforts to have WIllis and her office removed because she dated an attorney she hired as a special prosecutor. But Fox 5 team reporter Randy Travis says that order has cost that special prosecutor his job.
That's right, Courtney. Russ, Nathan Wade tendered his resignation shortly after the judge's order came out. That was the deal Judge McAfee offered Fani WIllis if she wanted to stay on the case. But now she will have to find his replacement, while at the same time working to repair a reputation hit hard by this controversy.
You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020.
That trial is now back on track, following a judge's ruling that allows Fani WIllis to remain in charge of the election interference case. In his 23-page ruling, Judge Scott McAfee decided the evidence did not establish the district attorney's receipt of a material financial benefit as a result of her decision to hire and engage in a romantic relationship with Wade. Defense attorneys for 9 of the 15 remaining defendants argued Nathan Wade was hired primarily because he was dating WIllis, and the two vacationed together with Wade, spending what the court determined was as much as $15,000 on his boss. But the couple, who say they only started dating after he was hired and also broke up shortly before last August's indictment, testified WIllis paid or reimbursed Wade for roughly half of those expenses, and all in cash.
You don't have a single solitary deposit slip to corroborate or support any of your allegations that you were paid by Mrs. WIllis in cash, do you?
No, sir.
Not a single solitary one.
Not a one.
That seemed to satisfy the judge. Simply put, the defendants have not presented sufficient evidence indicating that the expenses were not roughly divided evenly. McAfee did agree the relationship was, quote, a tremendous lapse in judgment, but he refused to disqualify WIllis from the case, instead giving her this option. The district attorney may choose to step aside, along with the whole of her office, and refer the prosecution to the prosecuting attorney's counsel for reassignment. Alternatively, Special Prosecutor Wade can withdraw, allowing the district attorney, the defendants, and the public to move forward without his presence or remuneration distracting from and potentially compromising the merits of this case.
You know, they ain't just giving this to black men.
The judge also wrote that this fiery speech by WIllis accusing her critics of racism created dangerous waters for the DA and was legally improper. But McAfee ruled it did not cross the line to deny defendants a fair trial. As we mentioned, Nathan Wade has resigned effective immediately. In his letter to WIllis, he wrote, seeking justice for the people of Georgia and the United States and being part of the effort to ensure that the rule of law and democracy are preserved has been the honor of a lifetime. Well, in her response, WIllis wrote in part, I will always remember that you were brave enough to step forward and take on the investigation. Others who were considered were understandably concerned for the safety of themselves and their families that would arise from their acceptance of your role. You were the one who had the courage to accept the role, even though you did not seek it. And now she has to seek a replacement for her top lieutenant in this case.
And she clearly has a credibility problem with the judge. I mean, he more or less said he's not sure he believes what the two of them both testified under oath about their relationship. Is there a possibility, you think, that perhaps Fani WIllis may not be the one who ends up trying this case, that she might go to one of her very capable people in the DA's office? Well,
I'm not sure she was ever going to try the case. She's certainly heading up the case as the DA, but if you're asking, will she recuse herself even though she doesn't have to now? Yeah. I wouldn't rule anything out, but I mean, she's got a lot of qualified people in that office who can do this without Nathan Wade. She doesn't have to even go outside the office probably to hire a special prosecutor at this time, because a lot of his work was to set up the special purpose grand jury and then the other grand jury. All the heavy lifting has pretty much been done now. It's just a matter of getting it across the finish line and getting a trial date.
Yeah, and who knows when that will be. Certainly, most likely not before the November election.
Well, she wanted to have the trial in August, which would have been 1 year after the indictments. That doesn't seem likely, especially since even one of these defense attorneys could ask the judge for permission to appeal his order. If he grants that, then that could delay the case, who knows how long. I mean, I guess it's a possibility the trial could start before the November elections, but it's not going to get completed anytime soon.
Yeah, well, the timing is certainly the big question that's left to be answered. Randy, thanks so much.
Thanks, you bet. Randy.
Well done today. The eyes of the nation have been fixated on Fulton County for some time, and this ruling is no different. Our team coverage continues now with Fox 5's Eric Perry.
And Eric, you've been outside the Fulton County Courthouse all day getting reactions from both sides. What are they saying?
Yeah, Russ, Courtney, we have not heard directly from the district attorney or her office, but we did reach out and hear back from many of the defense attorneys for the defendants in this case. A lot of them tell me that they are weighing their next options.
I don't think it came as a shock. Judge McAfee has shown a tendency to want to hold a middle ground and not show favoritism to either side.
Visiting associate professor with Emory Law, John Acevedo, breaks down potential reactions from both sides after Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee handed down a decision on if District Attorney Fani WIllis should be removed from the Georgia election interference case. The judge ruled either WIllis and her team must go or special prosecutor Nathan Wade.
He didn't give a full win to either side. Since the beginning, he'd also been worried about the appearance of a conflict of interest as much as actual conflict, removing themselves from the case or him removing himself from the case. He's easier to replace than her.
As for the defense, Acevedo says they are figuring out the next steps, which could mean filing an appeal.
This is a prime opportunity to have the case completely ended and a very low cost to them, the filing of a paperwork and a brief of appeal. So low cost, high reward. If I was on the defense team, I'd be pushing for an appeal.
I reached out to many of the defense attorneys, and here's how they are responding. Ashley Merchant, who initially discovered the romantic relationship and represents defendant Mike Roman, sent a statement saying, in part, the judge clearly agreed with the defense that the actions of WIllis are a result of her poor judgment and that there is a risk to the future of this case if she doesn't quickly work to cure her conflict. Steve Sadow, who represents arguably the biggest name in the case, former President Donald Trump, sent a statement saying, in part, while respecting the court's decision, we believe that the court did not afford appropriate significance to the prosecutorial misconduct of WIllis and Wade. Yeah, I'm back out here live. Courtney Rush, you guys talked with Randy a little bit about the timing of all of this, but another issue that my legal expert talked about is a jury. They've been watching all of this play out in the media. They've been watching along with the hearings as well. They'll have to make sure when it is time for a trial that they find someone who is non-biased to both the defendants in this, but now the prosecutors as well. Of course, we'll continue to watch this and we'll let you know. If you want to read all of the statements, we have them on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Outside the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.
That's a very important point. Eric, thanks so much. For a closer look at Judge McAfee's ruling, just download the Fox 5 Atlanta app to get alerts straight to your phone.